Hi, everybody. I'm Bruce Rader, and this is a web exclusive talking about the Washington football team's upcoming game against the defending AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs, and of course, their great quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. And we bring in our football insider, Scott Jackson, from the Washington Football Radio Network. Scott, we're hearing the same thing every week from Coach Ron Rivera. He likes his team. He likes what they did last week, even though they lost to the Saints. But all they have to do is work harder. Now, Scott, I'm thinking there's a little more to this than that.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were 1-5 last year, so they got off this horrendous start. But I think if you watched last year's team, it was a weird year with not much of an offseason, and you had obviously empty stadiums and things like that. But they also didn't have murder's row of quarterbacks coming up on their schedule like this team does. And that team last year, everything was kind of great because you didn't know what you were going to get from them. So yeah, there's definitely some issues. I think there's some personnel issues. I think they overestimated what they had in some areas. I think they were a little bit too smug in the sense that they thought they could just plug Landon Collins back out on the field and Cam Curl and he would just coexist perfectly, which has not happened to this point. And a lot of that's on Landon, quite frankly. And then, their first round draft pick has not made an impact at all in Jamin Davis. And that maybe wouldn't be a big deal if it wasn't a position that was extremely weak. And it's the weakest position they have, linebacker. So it's a problem. And it's strange, that he has not gotten many snaps, especially last week when John Bostic was completely out of the mix. And they just decided, hey, we're just going to play Cole Holcomb every snap and, plug some other people in here and there. But Davis, only got a handful of snaps.
All right, former Old Dominion quarterback Taylor Heineke had two interceptions last week, both at critical times, probably cost his team, 10 points. And while he led the offense to the red zone 5 times, they only came away with 2 touchdowns. Now, I see that over your left shoulder, there is an Old Dominion license plate. I
Yep.
know that you went to Old Dominion, and I know that you were planning to go to homecoming
I
this
was.
weekend. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to get you in any trouble going to homecoming at Old Dominion, but I want you to be honest with me, buddy. What grade do you give Taylor Heineke for last week?
Oh, look, it was a D on a lot of levels, right? He did, as you said, they moved the ball, but they didn't score through the interception. The red zone, which was on a second down play, was a killer. He also set them up for an easy 7, throwing a pick in his own end of the field, which was terrible. But I mean, he was inaccurate, Bruce. He was holding the ball too long. He locked in on guys. I mean, he really stared down Carter on that pick in his own end for a long time. I don't know where he thought he was going to throw that. There was only Saints over there, and Carter kind of squeezed in the middle. He just never seemed to get settled in that game. He made a few plays with his legs, but not many. It was certainly his worst performance so far. And again, this is career start number 6 for him, so he is still very young at the position and still learning. But the problem for him is, one week they want to give you free beer, and the next week they're asking you when's Fitzpatrick going to be available. So that's the life of being a starting quarterback in the NFL, especially in Washington. So hopefully he can bounce back from it against a Chiefs defense that, quite frankly, is pretty beatable.
Well, the Washington offense, which was horrible last year, put up 30 points against the Giants, 34 against Atlanta, 21 against a very tough Bills defense. Again, they're playing without their $10 million a year quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and pretty much without their $34 million receiver, Curtis Samuel. I don't know, maybe they're not as bad as we think. I mean, the defense is really putting them on the spot.
Well, look, if the defense was just average or, I don't know, 20th, they would be in a lot better position right now. They, in terms of their record, no question about it, but they're not. And, it has put a lot of pressure on the offense. No doubt about it. And let's look at it too. I mean, Taylor really won the 2 games for them, him and McLaurin in the offense. He carried the offense in that Atlanta game and same with the Giants game that they won, but they really needed him to be heroic to get those 2 W's. So that's been the tough part. They say every once in a while, hey, he's been more of a game manager, but then you look at the games they've won, he hasn't been anything but a game manager. He's been a playmaker. So he's got to kind of walk that tightrope and, hopefully some of these guys, can get back healthy at some point. I mean, Logan Thomas is another big piece that they've been missing here over the last couple of weeks.
All right, I don't want to keep you up all night. I got to ask you this, though. If you saw the Sunday night game, the Buffalo Bills just smothered Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City offense. This defense Washington has, it seems that they are set up to perhaps do what the Bills did. What do you think about that?
Look, it is a good matchup for him. That Kansas City retooled offensive line has not been what it's supposed to be at this point. They've had injuries again. Yeah, Washington should be able to have an advantage here. Kansas City's pretty much a one-dimensional team right now. With Allaire out, I don't think they're going to be running it a ton. But Andy Reid always comes up with something against Washington, and Patrick Mahomes is obviously a former league MVP, Super Bowl champion for a reason. They're going to have their hands full. But yeah, that is a matchup where they could hold their own potentially in this game. But they've got to really be better on the back end, because that's the part that really scares you with the cheetah Tyreek Hill running deep.
All right, I'm going to get you out of here with this. What does your gut tell you about Sunday's game, Washington against Kansas City?
I mean, I would be crazy not to think the Chiefs are going to win it. I mean, you know, the old any given Sunday adage and all that stuff. I mean, hopefully at some point over these next few weeks, and a lot of games are going to be the underdog and Washington finds a way. I just don't know. I mean, it's still a lot of things going on here, and the Chiefs got their own stuff. I guess we'll find out Sunday who's got more issues right now. My feeling is it's Washington, though, that has more issues, and I think the Chiefs probably win this one by a couple scores.
All right, Scott Jackson, thanks for being with us on this web exclusive, and we will see you on this week's Washington Huddle. I'm Bruce Rader. Thanks for tuning in.